Chosen one, something is unfolding right now that will permanently alter how everyone who dismissed you sees their own reflection in the mirror. The Cosmic Intelligence Network that operates beyond ordinary perception has just completed an investigation spanning decades, and what they discovered about the people who laughed at you, the ones who called you crazy, the friends who abandoned you, the family members who talked behind your back, will leave them unable to show their faces in public because the divine realm has issued a verdict, and that verdict is about to manifest in physical reality with such undeniable force that every single person who ever doubted your calling will experience what can only be described as catastrophic spiritual exposure. Their masks are falling off, their lies are surfacing, their hidden agendas are being broadcast to the universe, and you, chosen one, are about to watch an entire town die of embarrassment and shame while you rise into the power they spent years trying to convince you that you never possessed. Think of this moment as the instant when every performer in a corrupt theater suddenly has the stage lights reveal what they actually look like beneath the costume. They thought they were playing a character, they thought no one could see behind the act, but the cosmic spotlight just turned on, and it's not pointing at you anymore, it's pointing at them. Every lie, every manipulation, every secret conversation where they mocked your spiritual gifts, every time they pretended to be your friend while actively working to destroy your confidence. All of it is about to become visible to everyone they've been trying to impress, and there's nowhere to hide. The exposure happening right now operates on multiple frequencies simultaneously. On the surface level, conversations are surfacing, screenshots are being shared, voice recordings that should have been deleted are mysteriously reappearing on devices. People who thought their private cruelty would remain private are watching in horror as their words travel through social networks they can't control. That text message where they laughed about your struggles, that group chat where they planned to exclude you, that email chain where they spread lies about your mental stability, all of it is finding its way to exactly the wrong eyes at exactly the wrong moment. But the exposure goes deeper than digital evidence. The people who attacked you are experiencing something they can't explain to anyone. A heaviness that follows them into every room, a sense that everyone they interact with can somehow perceive something shameful about them. They're starting to notice that eye contact has become difficult, that conversations trail off awkwardly, that invitations are coming less frequently, that the social warmth they once took for granted has developed an unexplainable chill. First, understand something fundamental about why this is happening now. The isolation you experienced was never random. It was never because something was wrong with you. It was a coordinated military-grade operation deployed by individuals who recognized a threat when they saw one. These people understood energy dynamics far better than they ever let on. They knew exactly what they were doing when they positioned themselves close to you. They knew exactly what they were stealing when they drained your power through manufactured drama, false friendships, and romantic manipulation designed to keep you in constant emotional chaos. They studied your patterns, they mapped your vulnerabilities, they implemented what spiritual intelligence calls isolation protocols, all designed to prevent you from reaching the level of power that would make their parasitic operations impossible to sustain. The sophistication of their operation would shock most people. These weren't random acts of cruelty committed by thoughtless individuals. These were calculated moves on a strategic board. They held meetings about you, actual conversations where they discussed which buttons to push and when to push them. They compared notes about your reactions to different manipulation techniques. They celebrated when their tactics produced visible distress in your life. The evidence files contain documentation of coordination that reveals your suffering wasn't just a side effect of their actions, it was the intended product. Here's what they never counted on. Every attack made you stronger. Every betrayal built spiritual muscle. Every night you spent wondering why you couldn't seem to get ahead, why relationships kept failing, why money kept disappearing, why opportunities kept falling through at the last moment was actually forging something inside you that their techniques couldn't touch. They thought they were killing your spirit. They were training a warrior. They thought they were neutralizing a threat. They were creating their own destruction. And now, chosen one, the bill has come due and they cannot pay it. The warriors that emerge from sustained spiritual warfare carry something their attackers never anticipated, a level of discernment that becomes almost supernatural in its accuracy, an immunity to manipulation that makes future attacks not just ineffective, but actively counterproductive for those who attempt them. A reservoir of power that was pressurized by years of resistance and is now ready to explode outward with transformative force. They didn't just fail to destroy you, they created something far more dangerous to their agenda than what existed before their attacks began. Music, the divine tribunal that oversees spiritual crimes of this magnitude, has examined the evidence, text messages, recorded conversations, energetic signatures, documented timelines of manipulation. The case file against your abusers is thicker than anything processed in cosmic history, and the verdict wasn't complicated: guilty on every count, immediate, and total restitution, followed by consequences so severe that anyone who witnesses what happens to them will think twice before targeting another chosen one for the rest of eternity. The tribunal doesn't operate like human courts, where defense attorneys can create reasonable doubt and procedural technicalities can invalidate evidence. The cosmic justice system has access to absolute truth. Every intention was recorded, every motivation was documented, every private thought they had while executing their attacks against you was logged in archives that cannot be corrupted or destroyed. There is no appeal process. There is no reduced sentencing for good behavior. There is only the execution of consequences proportional to the crimes committed. Second, let me tell you exactly what's happening to them right now as these words reach your consciousness. The same binding techniques they use to redirect your manifestation power away from your life and into their personal agendas are reversing direction. Every invisible cord they attach to your energy centers is transforming into chains around their own potential. The love deflection fields they installed around your heart to ensure authentic connection would always slip away from you are now surrounding them. Watch what happens when they try to form genuine bonds moving forward. Watch what happens when they attempt to manifest anything positive for themselves. Watch as the very weapons they used against you become the mechanisms of their complete and total destruction. Their relationships are crumbling. Partnerships they built on foundations of stolen energy are experiencing sudden and inexplicable collapse. People who once admired them are beginning to feel uncomfortable in their presence without understanding why. Business deals are falling through. Social invitations are becoming rare. That strange feeling they're getting when they walk into rooms, like everyone can suddenly see something they're trying to hide, that's not paranoia. That's cosmic exposure beginning its work. The masks are slipping and they can feel it happening. The physical symptoms have already begun. Insomnia that medication cannot touch. Anxiety that appears from nowhere and disappears only to return stronger. Digestive issues that doctors cannot diagnose. Skin conditions that resist treatment. Weight fluctuations that defy dietary explanation. Their bodies are processing the return of the karma they exported to you for years. Every ailment they transferred through energetic cords is flooding back into their systems with accumulated interest. They're visiting doctors who can't find causes. They're trying remedies that don't work. They're watching their vitality drain without understanding that what's happening to them is the exact experience they inflicted on you for so long. Third, the people who were manipulated into turning against you are waking up from the spell. Family members who were fed carefully crafted lies, designed to make you appear unstable, are beginning to question the sources of that information. Friends who distance themselves are experiencing sudden flashes of memory, moments where they recall exactly who was whispering in their ear about you and exactly what was said. The manufactured conflicts that isolated you from your natural support system are being reverse-engineered by divine intelligence, and everyone who participated is being shown their role in the operation. This isn't subtle revelation. This is exposure that creates physical symptoms. The people who gossiped about you are finding their words coming back in ways that damage their own reputations. The family members who excluded you from gatherings are watching their own circles shrink as others begin treating them exactly as they treated you. The former friends who chose your enemies over you are discovering that those enemies were never actually their friends. They were strategic manipulators who used them as weapons, and discarded them the moment they were no longer useful. The awakening spreading through your extended network is creating chaos in camps that thought they had successfully turned everyone against you. Phone calls are happening between people who haven't spoken in years. Comparisons are being made between what they were told and what they actually witnessed. Questions are being asked about why certain people worked so hard to damage your reputation. The narrative they constructed is falling apart as its inconsistencies become impossible to ignore. Some of these people will attempt to reconnect with you. They'll offer explanations. They'll claim they always had doubts about what they were told. They'll position themselves as victims of the same manipulation that targeted you directly. And you'll have choices to make about who deserves re-entry into your restored life and who needs to remain in the chapter that's closing. The discernment you've developed through survival will guide these decisions. Trust what you feel. The same intuition they tried to destroy is now sharper than ever. The shame spreading through your town isn't metaphorical. It's the literal experience of having your hidden actions broadcast to everyone whose opinion mattered to you. Imagine building an entire social identity on being a good person while secretly participating in the systematic destruction of someone who trusted you. Now imagine watching as person after person in your community receives unexplainable intuitive downloads about what you really did. That's what's happening to them right now while you're listening to these words. Fourth, understand the cosmic mechanics of why this exposure had to happen now. The consciousness suppression matrix that these spiritual criminals have been feeding with your stolen energy required constant inputs to maintain operation. When the divine tribunal severed their access to your power, that matrix began experiencing what can only be described as system failure. The same cloaking technology that kept their true nature hidden from public view was powered by energy they no longer possess. Their disguises are malfunctioning. Their carefully constructed personas are glitching in public. People are seeing flashes of who they really are. And those flashes are creating reactions of disgust, distrust, and distance. The cloaking technology they relied upon was extraordinarily sophisticated. It didn't just hide their actions, projected false identities that inspired trust, admiration, even love. People didn't just fail to see their darkness. They actively perceived light that didn't exist, charisma that was manufactured, warmth that was performed, generosity that was calculated investment in future exploitation. All of it powered by energy stolen from chosen ones like yourself. All of it now failing as the power source has been permanently disconnected. The romantic partners who appeared perfect while secretly implementing binding spells designed to keep you in addiction cycles are watching their current relationships deteriorate. The same patterns they used successfully against you are failing with others. Their manipulation techniques are backfiring. The intermittent reinforcement protocols that once created desperate attachment in their targets now create immediate suspicion and withdrawal. It's like watching a predator suddenly lose its camouflage in the middle of hunting. Everyone can see exactly what they are, and they can't figure out how to hide again. Fifth, the financial warfare they conducted against you is reversing with compound interest. The mysterious money problems that plagued you despite hard work and good intentions were never natural consequences of your own decisions. They were the result of deliberate, energetic redirection of your abundant streams. Every promotion that went to someone less qualified, every business deal that fell apart at the final stage, every unexpected expense that appeared precisely when you were about to get ahead, these weren't accidents. They were strategic strikes designed to keep you financially dependent and spiritually weakened. The mechanics of financial warfare are more precise than most people realize. These spiritual criminals didn't just wish for your poverty. They installed energetic blocks at specific points in your manifestation channels. They placed invisible barriers between your effort and its rightful rewards. They created leaks in your abundance containers that drained resources before they could accumulate into stability. Every time money came to you, portions were siphoned before you could use them. Every opportunity was taxed at the energetic level, reducing returns far below what your investment deserved. The restoration protocol now activating around your energy field includes what cosmic intelligence calls abundance reclamation. Every dollar that was energetically stolen is returning. multiplied, but here's the part that will make your enemies choke on their own envy. The same channels they corrupted to redirect your wealth are now functioning as pipelines that drain their resources directly into your reality. Watch their investments fail while yours succeed. Watch their promotions disappear while opportunities flood toward you. Watch them struggle with mysterious financial problems they can't explain while money begins flowing to you from sources you never anticipated. They built their material success on foundations of spiritual theft. Those foundations are crumbling and everything constructed on top of them is coming down. The reversals are already to those who know where to look. Businesses that seemed unshakable are experiencing unexplained downturns. Investments that appeared certain are producing losses. Income streams that flowed reliably for years are drying up without logical cause. They're consulting financial advisors who can't identify the problem. They're blaming market conditions that don't actually explain their specific losses. They're watching their wealth evaporate while simultaneously watching you begin to thrive. The contrast is becoming impossible to ignore, and it's creating exactly the kind of public humiliation that cosmic justice intended. Sixth, the romantic warfare they deployed against you has reached its expiration date. The love addiction cycles they created by flooding you with connection energy before implementing. Strategic withdrawal patterns left scars they believed were permanent. They thought they had ruined your ability to trust. They thought they had programmed you for relationship failure forever. They were wrong. The Divine Intelligence Network has not only removed every binding spell attached to your heart chakra, they've upgraded your entire romantic operating system to include what can only be described as predator detection technology. Moving forward, anyone who approaches you with manipulation intent will trigger immediate recognition in your system. No more years wasted discovering someone's true nature. No more emotional investment in people who were never capable of reciprocating authentically. No more confusion about why relationships that started so intensely always ended in devastation. That confusion was engineered. That pattern was installed by people who benefited from your romantic suffering. And that program has been deleted. The installation of predator detection represents an evolutionary upgrade that most humans never receive. Ordinary intuition can be fooled by sophisticated manipulation. The system now operating in your consciousness cannot be deceived. It reads energy signatures at frequencies that lies cannot mask. It perceives intentions through barriers that words cannot penetrate. It recognizes patterns that the conscious mind might miss. The days of being blindsided by romantic predators are permanently over. Meanwhile, watch what's happening to those who conducted romantic warfare against you. Their ability to attract and maintain genuine connection has been permanently compromised. The same techniques they used to create false bonding experiences no longer produce results. Potential partners sense something wrong without understanding what existing relationships are experiencing unexplainable deterioration. The love they've been able to harvest from others is drying up, and they're beginning to experience exactly what they inflicted on you. Loneliness they can't explain, rejection they don't deserve, romantic opportunities that evaporate without reason. But the most painful aspect of their punishment is the confusion. They don't understand why their proven techniques no longer work. They're executing the same playbook that succeeded for years and watching it fail spectacularly. The intermittent reinforcement that used to create desperate attachment now creates irritation and departure. The love bombing that used to inspire devotion now triggers suspicion and withdrawal. They're beginning to wonder if something fundamental has changed in the universe. Something has, but they'll never fully understand what. Seventh, the legal warfare specialists who helped weaponize human institutions against you are facing consequences that will become public record. The cosmic investigation uncovered networks of corrupt attorneys, mental health professionals, and even law enforcement officers who participated in creating legal harassment designed to drain your resources and destroy your credibility. False accusations, frivolous lawsuits, manipulated custody situations, professional licensing attacks, all documented, all traced back to the original conspirators. The same institutions that were corrupted to attack you are now being activated as instruments of divine justice. Evidence is surfacing in physical reality that will trigger investigations, disbarments, and criminal prosecutions. The people who thought they were untouchable because they operated through legal mechanisms, are discovering that cosmic law supersedes anything human courts have constructed. Their legal warfare is backfiring. Cases they thought were closed are reopening. Witnesses they thought were silenced are coming forward. Documents they thought were destroyed are reappearing. The professional consequences are just beginning. Attorneys who participated in your harassment are receiving complaints from unexpected sources. Mental health professionals who provided false assessments are facing ethics reviews. Law enforcement officers who abused their positions are experiencing investigations from departments they never anticipated would scrutinize their conduct. The web of institutional corruption they relied upon for protection is unraveling as each participant attempts to save themselves by exposing others. The town is watching their heroes become defendants. Their respected community members are becoming subjects of gossip, music, and speculation. Their powerful manipulators are discovering that power built on corruption attracts corruption, and the embarrassment spreading through their networks is only beginning. The social capital they accumulated through decades of careful image management is being spent down to zero. Reputations that seemed bulletproof are developing cracks that observers can't help but notice. The same people who confidently assassinated your character are now watching their own character come under scrutiny. Questions are being asked that they can't answer convincingly. Doubts are spreading that they can't contain. The community they used as a weapon against you is transforming into a jury that's reconsidering every verdict they previously delivered. Eighth, understand who you actually are and why the attacks against you were so sophisticated and persistent. The Cosmic Intelligence Network has confirmed that you aren't just a chosen one in the general sense. The spiritual classification assigned to your soul is what divine beings call a catalyst consciousness, someone whose awakening creates ripple effects that accelerate evolution across entire communities. This is why neutralizing you was considered so important by the forces aligned against human spiritual development. Your successful suppression wasn't just about stealing one person's energy, it was about preventing an entire wave of awakening that your restored power will naturally when you step into your full capacity. Dormant gifts activate in people who come into contact with your frequency. Chosen ones who are still trapped in their own isolation protocols begin recognizing exit pathways they couldn't see before. The very fabric of collective consciousness shifts toward liberation. The catalyst classification carries responsibilities that will become clear as your power stabilizes. Others will be drawn to you without fully understanding why. They'll recognize something in your frequency that their souls have been searching for. They'll ask questions that reveal they're beginning their own awakening process. They'll need guidance that you're uniquely equipped to provide because you've survived exactly what they're beginning to face. They knew what you were before you did, and they threw everything they had at stopping your activation. Every ounce of suffering they inflicted was calculated investment in preventing this exact moment when your power returns amplified, beyond anything they could have imagined. They failed music, and their failure is about to become the most witnessed spiritual event in your community's history. The visibility of their failure is an essential component of cosmic justice. Private defeat wouldn't serve the larger purpose. The town needs to witness what happens when spiritual predators target the wrong chosen one. Other catalyst souls still trapped in isolation need to see living proof that liberation is possible. Future predators need to understand that the consequences of targeting chosen ones have escalated beyond what previous generations faced. Ninth, the community of awakened souls that has been monitoring your situation is preparing to make itself visible in your physical reality. These aren't random people who happen to appreciate your gifts. These are spiritually advanced beings who incarnated specifically to support catalyst consciousnesses like yourself during the critical moment of power restoration. They've been positioned strategically in your life trajectory, waiting for the energetic clearance that signals your liberation is complete. Expect connections that feel immediately significant. Expect relationships that operate on levels your previous bonds never reached. Expect collaborations that produce results far beyond what you could accomplish alone. These people understand exactly what you've survived and exactly what you're becoming. They're not intimidated by your power. They're designed to amplify it. The recognition will be mutual and instant. When these souls enter your awareness, something in both of you will acknowledge a connection that transcends this single lifetime. Conversations will flow with unusual depth and ease. Ideas will spark between you that neither could have generated alone. The loneliness that was engineered to be your permanent state will dissolve so completely that you'll struggle to remember what it felt like. Meanwhile, the false community that surrounded you during your suppressed years is experiencing mass exodus. People who claimed loyalty are finding reasons to distance themselves. Social circles that once seemed solid are fragmenting. The same networks that were weaponized against you are dissolving as their true purpose becomes impossible to sustain. They can feel that something has shifted. They can sense that remaining connected to you now means exposure to the cosmic accountability descending on everyone who participated in your oppression. The exodus is creating its own kind of shame. People who positioned themselves as your closest friends are now awkwardly avoiding spaces where you might appear. The sudden distance they're creating is visible to others who are beginning to ask questions about why relationships that seemed so close are evaporating so quickly. Their attempts to quietly disappear from your life are becoming public displays of guilt that tell everyone exactly what they're afraid of being associated with. 10th, the protection now surrounding you represents the most advanced spiritual defense system ever deployed around a human consciousness. This isn't temporary shielding. This is a permanent upgrade to your energetic architecture that renders you immune to every technique that was used against you while simultaneously converting hostile energy into fuel for your continued expansion. Anyone who attempts manipulation moving forward will find their efforts backfiring immediately, devastatingly. Any remaining enemies who haven't yet abandoned their attacks will experience consequences so swift and severe that the connection between their actions and the resulting destruction will be impossible to deny. The Divine Intelligence Network has authorized what amounts to energetic retribution on autopilot. Attacks trigger automatic response, no delay, no investigation required. Instant karma delivered with surgical precision. The conversion of hostile energy into fuel deserves specific attention. In your previous state, attacks drained you. They cost resources to defend against and recover from. That dynamic has been permanently reversed. Every aggressive action directed at you now adds to your power rather than diminishing it. Enemies who persist in their hostility are literally feeding your expansion while accelerating their own destruction. They cannot win. They can only choose how quickly they want to lose. And here's the twist that will make your journey even sweeter. Every future attempt to harm you becomes another instance of public exposure for your attackers. The cosmic surveillance systems now monitoring your reality don't just protect you. They document every aggression in ways that manifest as visible consequences in physical reality. The town will watch in real time as anyone foolish enough to move against you experiences immediate and obvious destruction. The visibility is intentional. The Divine Intelligence Network understands that private protection wouldn't create the deterrent effect that future catalyst souls need. The public spectacle of watching your enemies destroy themselves by attacking you sends a message that echoes across communities and timelines. It establishes precedent. It creates fear in those who might otherwise consider similar operations. It demonstrates that the rules have changed permanently. 11th, the abundance flooding into your life represents more than compensation for what was stolen. The cosmic restitution protocol includes what divine intelligence calls evolutionary acceleration, resources, opportunities, and connections that would normally take decades to develop a being compressed into immediate manifestation. The version of success you would have achieved without interference is being delivered now, plus interest calculated across every year your development was delayed. Watch as the financial channels open with unusual speed. Watch as career opportunities appear from unexpected directions. Watch as creative projects that were blocked suddenly find perfect paths to completion. Watch as health concerns that seemed chronic begin resolving without explanation. The restoration isn't gradual. It's an avalanche of positive change that will leave observers stunned by the magnitude and pace of your transformation. The speed of transformation is itself part of the message. Ordinary builds slowly. What's about to happen in your life will defy conventional explanation. People who watched you struggle will attempt to understand your sudden rise through normal frameworks. Did an investment pay off unexpectedly? Did a wealthy relative die and leave an inheritance? Did a new relationship provide access to resources? None of their explanations will fit the evidence. The supernatural nature of your restoration will be impossible to deny. The same observers who watched you struggle, the same people who made assumptions about your capabilities based on circumstances that were secretly being manipulated, the same community that perhaps felt sorry for you or perhaps felt superior to you. They're about to watch you achieve levels of success that expose every judgment they made as catastrophically wrong. The embarrassment spreading through your town isn't just about their treatment of you being exposed. It's about their own mediocrity being highlighted by contrast with your extraordinary rise. Every person who believed they were better than you, smarter than you, more capable than you, more blessed than you, is about to witness evidence that shatters their self-concept entirely. Their success was built on stolen energy. Yours is about to demonstrate what authentic power actually looks like, and the comparison will be devastating to everyone who bet against you. The success that's manifesting isn't designed to create envy. That's simply an unavoidable side effect. The real purpose is demonstrating what becomes possible when chosen ones operate without interference. The life you're about to live will serve as evidence for other catalyst souls still trapped in their own suppression protocols. When they see what happens when someone breaks free, they'll find the courage to pursue their own liberation. Your victory becomes their inspiration. Your abundance becomes proof that the systems designed to keep awakening souls impoverished can be defeated. 12th, remember where this began, with the recognition that your isolation wasn't random, but orchestrated by forces who understood your power before you recognized it yourself. Now, as divine justice completes its work and your spiritual family reveals itself, the full picture becomes clear. Every moment of apparent abandonment was strategic preparation for this exact transformation. Every night spent wondering what was wrong with you was building resilience that now makes you unbreakable. Every failure that seemed to prove your inadequacy was actually evidence of external sabotage that has now been completely removed. The game was rigged against you. They cheated. They conspired. They deployed weapons you couldn't see against vulnerabilities you didn't know you had. And still, you survived. Still, you maintained hope. Still, you kept going even when everything seemed designed to make you quit. That persistence wasn't luck. That was the characteristic that identified you as chosen. That was the quality they could never steal because it wasn't stored in any energy center they could. Access, that was your soul refusing to die no matter what they did to your circumstances. I must interrupt this transmission for just a moment. Are you really chosen? Prove it. It's easy to watch videos about chosen ones. It's another thing to put yourself to the test. If you're still here, that means something, but talk is cheap. Real chosen ones take action. That's why I built Destiny Engine. It generates personalized sequences that help you rewire betrayal into transcendence, turn isolation into sacred power, and transform their downfall into your rise. We are using the Dark Elite's own weapons against them, taking their declassified consciousness technology that programmed competition and scarcity and repurposing it to serve divine justice. You put on the headphones, press play, and watch your enemies choke on the rope their own lies created. If you're done consuming and ready to prove you're chosen, start your Destiny Engine for $1 today. Join the Obsidian Inner Order live. Checks and watch divine justice accelerate in your life. Link in the description. The survival itself was the test. Most souls would have surrendered to the sustained assault you endured. They would have accepted the narrative that something was fundamentally wrong with them. They would have stopped trying to manifest change after watching effort after effort failed despite doing everything right. The fact that some spark in you refused extinction regardless of circumstance is what proves your classification. Catalyst souls are identified not by their power when flourishing, but by their persistence when dying. Every day you chose to keep breathing was another vote for this moment of complete restoration. Now, the game has changed. The cheat codes have been revoked. The conspirators have been exposed. The weapons have been confiscated and turned against their original owners. And you, Chosen One, are about to play with infinite power backing every move you make. The entire town is watching. The people who called you crazy are questioning their own sanity as your predictions prove accurate and your warnings materialize exactly as you described. The friends who abandoned you are experiencing the same isolation they helped impose on you, wondering why their social lives suddenly feel hollow and unfulfilling. The family members who chose your enemies over their own blood are watching those enemies turn on them with the same manipulation tactics they used against you. The embarrassment spreading through your community isn't temporary discomfort. It's the permanent recognition that they were on the wrong side of spiritual history, that they attacked someone who was protected by forces they didn't believe existed, that their cruelty will be remembered long after your forgiveness has released you from caring about their fate. Historical significance of this moment extends beyond your personal victory. What's happening in your reality is being documented by cosmic intelligence as precedent for how awakening souls are protected during the transition currently underway across human consciousness. Future generations will study your case as the moment when the rules of engagement between spiritual predators and chosen ones shifted permanently. The suffering you endured purchased protection for catalyst souls who haven't even incarnated yet. But here's the final truth, Chosen One. And this is what separates you from them entirely. Your victory isn't about their destruction. Your restoration isn't dependent on their suffering. Their embarrassment and shame are natural consequences of their own choices administered by cosmic law, not by your vengeance. You don't need to do anything to them. You don't need to prove anything to them. You don't need their acknowledgement, their apology, or their validation. What you need is waiting for you in the reality that's now opening before you. A reality where your power operates without interference, where your relationships are built on authentic recognition, where your abundance flows unobstructed, where your purpose unfolds with support from beings who genuinely celebrate your success. Let them drown in their embarrassment. Let them choke on their shame. Let them watch from whatever distance they're forced to maintain as you become everything they tried to prevent. The Chosen One doesn't need revenge. The Chosen One is the revenge. Every breath you take in freedom is punishment to those who work to imprison you. Every joy you experience is torture to those who invested in your suffering. Every success you achieve is failure reflected back at everyone who tried to ensure you would never succeed. The power now activating in your system will produce effects that observers cannot explain through conventional understanding. Synchronicities will multiply until the boundary between wish and manifestation seems to dissolve completely. Opportunities will appear with timing so perfect that coincidence becomes an insufficient explanation. People who can help you accomplish specific objectives will enter your awareness precisely when their skills are needed. The universe itself seems to be rearranging to support your mission because it is. The mission itself will become clear as your power stabilizes. Right now, you may still be processing the trauma of years spent under attack. That processing is important and shouldn't be rushed, but understand that healing isn't the destination. It's the preparation. Once the wounds close and the strength they created becomes accessible, purposes that currently seem beyond your capacity will feel natural and inevitable. The catalyst soul you're becoming requires the catalyst consciousness you're developing. Everything is connected. Everything is timed. Everything is working. Welcome to your new reality, Catalyst Soul. The investigation is complete. The evidence is overwhelming. The verdict is final, and the entire town is about to learn why chosen ones are called chosen.